Good evening, everyone. I think I'm audible. Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, hi people, how you doing? So we will start with the remaining topics of diversity. Today our target is to finish it off. So we have racial intolerance, we have ethno-nationalism, and then the last topic of diversity, that is unity in diversity. So what is concept of unity? What are different bonds of unity? And then we'll start with secularism, which I'll continue tomorrow. ठीक है ना? So this is the agenda for the class. But before that, you need to tell me, did I give you this question? In India, it is the geography, identity, and sense of deprivation which combined together creates the situation of regionalism. Did I give you this question? Okay, even if I've given, just write it again, as in case you haven't written. In India, geography, identity, in India, geography, identity, and sense of deprivation have historically combined to drive regionalism. Elaborate. I'll repeat. Okay, I haven't given this question. So just write down the question. In India, geography, identity, and sense of deprivation have historically combined to drive regionalism. Elaborate. Good evening, everyone out there. Did you understand the demand of the question? I am saying in India, it is the geography, identity, and sense of deprivation which have historically combined to drive regionalism. As in, these are the three factors responsible for regionalism in India. And you have to elaborate on that, right? They have not asked you to refute the statement. They are not asking you to comment on the statement or to analyze the statement, whether it is true or not. That's not the question. The question is, this is the statement which is given to you, and you have to elaborate on the statement. Whenever the tail word is elaborate, it means you have to assume the statement to be true, and you have to further elaborate on the statement via means of examples. So you have 2 minutes. Read the question again and tell me, will you be able to answer? In India, it is the geography, identity, and sense of deprivation. Will you be able to answer the question? Yes, you will be able to answer. You have example of Uttarakhand, you have example of Himachal Pradesh. Then with respect to identity, you can talk about tribal identities, that is the Northeast reorganization. You can talk about the linguistic identities, to be very precise, and obviously the sense of deprivation, because it is the economic factor which is the crux of regional politics. So yes, you guys can answer the question. ठीक है ना? So can we proceed now? Let me see if I have some more question for you. Okay, one more question and then we'll proceed with the next topic right now. See, you want me to repeat the question. In India, I'm repeating the question. In India, geography, identity, and sense of deprivation. In India, geography, identity, and sense of deprivation have historically combined to drive regionalism. In India, geography, identity, sense of deprivation have historically combined to drive regionalism. You are supposed to elaborate. So the tail word here is elaborate. It's a 10-marker question. Try attempting this question. Next question, write down. Regionalism need not be regarded as unhealthy. Regionalism need not be regarded as unhealthy unless it takes a violent aggressive turn unless it takes a violent, aggressive turn, violent, comma, aggressive turn, and encourages the growth of cessationist tendencies, and encourages the growth of cessationist tendencies. Discuss. I'll repeat. Regionalism need not be regarded as unhealthy unless it takes a violent, aggressive turn and encourages the growth of cessationist tendencies. Discuss. Yes, Sricharan. Yes. Yes. But Bache, when you are writing religious, do mention in a line that although those sentiments, those identities were religious in nature, however, they were presented in the garb of something else, like linguistic aspect. For example, in context of Punjab. Why? Because we are secular country and any demand based on religion would not be accepted. So, is tarah se just add one line to it. Even if you're writing caste aspect, even then say that the demand, although was caste based, but was presented in the garb of linguistic demands, because any demand based on caste and religion would not be accepted. So do mention this statement whenever you are writing these points. Is that very clear for everyone? Both the question 10 marker. Try attempting these questions. गजब कर रहे हो यार, एक ही क्वेश्चन को how many times am I supposed to repeat? Please guys, somebody write it down on the portal. Next question. The next topic, to be very precise. Someone is asking me to provide the hints for these questions. Tanvi, the first question clearly says what is regionalism, and then you will be talking about three different factors which have formed the basis of regionalism. For example, the geographical factor. For example, the identity, geographical factor. Remember, we have done that the hill area, it depends upon the terrain, it depends upon the climate, it depends upon the rainfall, it depends upon the availability of natural resources. In context of India, we have seen why Uttarakhand was carved out. Why? Because it was a hilly region and it was believed that the administration of hill areas is different from plain areas. So that was the reason why Uttarakhand was carved out of Uttar Pradesh. So geographical factor was one of the key factor for carving Uttarakhand out. So that's one thing. Then when we talk about identity, so as Sricharan has already mentioned on the portal, it is related to your linguistic identity, it is related to your religious identity, caste identity, ethnic identities. So ethnic identity led to the reorganization of northeastern states. Then your linguistic identity, linguistic reorganization of states. Then your cultural identities, you can add caste and religion. And then you can talk about how they were presented in the garb of language. Then it talks about sense of deprivation. So whether it is Telangana, whether it is Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, they all were carved out. Kahin na kahin, the reason was feeling of relative deprivation. Even today, the new demands which are being created with respect to small states, whether it is Saurashtra, whether it is Vidarbha, they are basically on the basis of sense of deprivation. Is that very clear? And then you can conclude that not all types of regionalism is a threat to national integration. Only when it resumes to violence, or only when it is threatening the integrity of the country, then it is a challenge. Otherwise, it is an opportunity to accommodate federal sentiments. और ये करके आप conclude कर सकते हो. The second question which was given was that regionalism per se is not unhealthy. That means regionalism is not a negatively connoted term. It depends upon that what forms the basis of regionalism. What are the factors which are generating the demand of regionalism? So if there are factors, the reason for regionalism is communal, then it is unhealthy. And secondly, it depends upon what manifestation of regionalism are we resorting to? What methods are we resorting to practice our regionalism? If we are resorting to violence, if we are having cessationist tendencies. For example, Greater Nagalim. For example, Khalistan. For example, Azad Kashmir. So if we are resorting to such practices, which is threatening the territorial integrity, if we are encouraging the growth of cessationist tendencies, only then it is unhealthy. Otherwise, it is not unhealthy. So you will start with the definition of regionalism. You will talk about how regionalism also have a positive connotation to it. Then you will be writing the positive impact of regionalism. However, it when takes form of cessationist tendencies, when it takes the form of a violent aggressive turn, then it becomes a threat to the nation building process. Then you will be talking about the negative implication of regionalism, and finally you will conclude. Is that clear? Okay. Is it clear for everyone? Is this clear? Thank you everyone for writing it. Seriously, thank you. Is it clear for everyone? Tanvi, did you get the idea how the question has to be attempted? Okay? Let's start with a fresh topic. So the topic that we have to take up today is, the first topic is racial intolerance. So racial intolerance can be studied from 4 perspectives. One, what is the concept of race? Right? Why even we are studying racial intolerance? Then causes of racial intolerance, the implication and the way forward. Why are we studying racial intolerance, to be very precise? Because according to World Values Survey, India and Jordan are world's least racially tolerant nations. So see the irony. We Indians, we always complain that, we are the victim of racial intolerance. We are being discriminated on the grounds of racial factor. However, it is World Values Survey which has clearly said that India and Jordan are world's most racially intolerant nations. Or you can say they are the least racially tolerant nations in the world. So that is why it is important for us to understand that what exactly, or why are we practicing racial intolerance? Why are we not accommodative of people of different races? And what implication this menace of racial intolerance has for us. Is that clear? But before that, we need to understand what is this concept of race. So race is defined as a group of people, as a social group which consists of people having distinct physical traits. So how do you identify whether a person belongs to a different race? Through their physical traits, as in it can be their skin color, it can be their facial features, it can be the texture of the hair, it can be their height. So through their distinctive physical characteristics or traits, we identify that a person belongs to a different race. Within India, we have different racial groups. However, until and unless you're not a student of anthropology, you don't have to get into the detailing of different races. But generally, if you want to know, so there is Dr. B.S. Guha. बच्चे लीस्ट लिखा है ना मैंने, अंशुल लीस्ट है. दैट इज वाई आई रोट रेशियली टॉलरेंट, लीस्ट टॉलरेंट. अगर मैं लिखती मोस्ट तो इट वुड हैव बीन रेशियली इनटॉलरेंट. सही लिखा है ना? कंफ्यूज तो नहीं होगी मैं? मुझे ये बताना है, इंडिया इज नॉट टॉलरेंट एट ऑल. सो इंडिया एंड जॉर्डन आर वर्ल्ड्स लीस्ट रेशियली टॉलरेंट नेशंस. हाँ बच्चे, टॉलरेंट लिखा है ना वर्ड. अगर इनटॉलरेंट लिखना होता तो मोस्ट लिखती ना, मैं लीस्ट लिखा था इसलिए मैंने टॉलरेंट कर दिया उसे. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर? ठीक है. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू डॉक्टर बी एस गुहा, there are different types of racial groups which are found. For example, Negretto. You don't need to know. It is just that there are different types of racial groups अकॉर्डिंग टू डॉक्टर बी एस गुहा. ठीक है, अगर कभी लगे कि क्या इंडिया में रेशियल ग्रुप्स हैं, यस वी आर रेशियली डाइवर्स. सो वन ऑफ द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ अ स्कॉलर, सो अंटिल एंड अनलेस you don't have anthropology as an optional, you don't need to get into this detailing, but it is just for your reference that according to one perspective, obviously there is another anthropologist, J.H. Hutton, and they have given different variations of the racial groups. So according to B.S. Guha, he says that there are 6 racial groups which can be found in India. You have Negretto, you have Nordic, you have Proto-Australoid, you have Mediterranean, you have Mongoloids, you have Western Brachycephals. So there are 6 different types. ठीक है, so this is one perspective. If you want to write it for your information, लिख सकते हो, otherwise this is not required. Is that clear? ठीक है. Now this is the concept of race. Race is pure फिजिकल ट्रेट्स पे जो डिस्टिंक्शन होता है, बेस्ड ऑन दैट द रेशियल ग्रुप्स आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड. Now, second thing is why we are studying racial intolerance, because we know that one of the surveys says that we are one of the most racially intolerant nations in the world. Now, let us say we don't believe this survey. Even then, if it is saying we are most, that means there are some practices of racial intolerance which are happening in our society. Now, the question arises is, what are the factors responsible for growing racial intolerance in India? I give you 5 minutes. Just think. What are the causes or the factors which are responsible for growing incidences of racial intolerance in India? Is that clear? What can be the causes? You also think about some points. I'll also write some points and then we will discuss. Write this much, then we'll proceed. Let me see. You have too many points. Wait. Unemployment. Sense of superiority of your own race. Fine. Unemployment. ठीक है. Superiority complex. Internal migration. Migration in general. ठीक है. Feeling of relative deprivation. Fair people. Casteism. Marriage. Okay. Sense of deprivation, that's a better word. Lack of resources, absolutely correct. Cultural synthesis की problem है, diversity है, politics है, absolutely correct. Colonial hangover है, mindset. Obsession with fair complexion, absolutely correct. Shantanu, struggle for middle class jobs, absolutely correct. Colonial hangover, hegemony, absolutely correct. Communalism, distress, migration, feeling of relative deprivation, Aditya, I'll take the point. ठीक है. Stereotype, ठीक है. खुद को सर्वश्रेष्ठ समझना, एब्सोल्युटली. शोविनिज्म, कल्चरल शोविनिज्म, रेशियल शोविनिज्म, वी कैन टेक दैट. आई थिंक आप ही की क्लास में बोला था, वैभव इज इन योर क्लास ओनली, नो, इन योर बैच. आई थिंक ही सेड दिस ऑल्सो इन द लास्ट टाइम, दैट शोविनिज्म एज इन सुपीरियोरिटी. Wrong behavior towards Northeast people, Divyansh, that is the manifestation. You are having a wrong behavior against them. Why you are having a wrong behavior? That needs to be seen. ठीक है? बिल्कुल नहीं, absolutely. Colonial effect. White man's burden. Yes. Westernization. ठीक है? बिल्कुल सही. बिल्कुल सही. शांतनु. बॉलीवुड. सो यहां पर जहां हमने लिखा है ना, ऑब्सेशन विथ पर्टिकुलर रेस, सो एक बार ये लिखो, वी कैन एड नॉट ओनली in cinema, you will always find one of the African national who's on the side of the villain, and he's a part of team, and he is being treated as a morally corrupt person, as a lawless person. So with respect to African nationals, that's the perspective that we have developed, right? Similarly, the advertisements, obviously, the obsession with fairness, cream, right? Fair and handsome, fair and beautiful, whatsoever, fair and lovely, to be very precise. So yes, there are various cultural platforms which, instead of doing away with these stereotypes, they reinforces stereotypes. So whether it is via means of advertisements or it is via means of cinema, that can be talked about. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Right? So obsession with particular race, lack of cultural synthesis, existence of stereotypical beliefs which further give rise to prejudiced attitude. For example, African nationals are drug addicts. Then ghettoization, that we have already talked about, which further strengthens cultural exclusion. Then limited resources, disproportionate demand, along with the zero-sum game theory perspective that one can progress only at the cost of others. All these factors together give rise to feeling of relative deprivation. Then obviously there are few antisocial or the fringe elements. There has to be objective reality, only then somebody can manipulate you. So the objective reality is present. We have limited resources and there is disproportionate demand. There is problem of unemployment. There is problem of crime. There is problem of price rise. All of that is there. Objective reality is there. However, there are certain fringe or anti-social elements which make use of that objective reality to fan the sentiments of the ignorant people. We do not know the reality, and the advantage is being taken by these fringe elements who manipulate the people on the basis of the objective reality and pit them against the members of other racial groups. Is that very clear for everyone? Okay. Most importantly, lack of racial sensitive attitude among law enforcement officials, specifically police. The police themselves have been accused of being most racially intolerant. There have been various incidences, specifically lot in news in context of Bangalore. There was an incident where a Congolese student had died within the police custody, right? And he was being arrested on the pretext that it was assumed by the police officials that these African people, they are drug addicts, they are consuming drugs. Otherwise, he was not in the consumption of drugs, he was not under the possession of drugs, despite the fact he was being arrested. And when he was being arrested, he died in the police custody. How he died, what happened, nobody knows the reality. But yes, it had a very negative impact. In fact, as a result of it, in the Congolese cities, whatever Indian shops were there, they were also vandalized. Obviously, every action has a reaction, which is not a right thing, but it did happen, right? So the bilateral relations between the two countries also got negatively impacted. In fact, there was very infamous incident, and I think that was 2016 ki baat hai. There was a summit, the African summit, which was supposed to happen in context of India. And just before that, this was the incident in context of Bangalore. There was some Sudani student who was involved in a hit and run case. So as a reaction to that, there were two students from Tanzania. So basically they were being attacked, they were being molested, they were being literally abused. So when they went to the police station to seek relief, to file the complaint against the abuse that they have gone through, so to which the police replied that you were the one who were involved in the hit and run case in the morning. So those students said ki nahi, we were not involved. That student was of some other nationality. We don't belong to the same country. So to which the police replied ki tum sab kale ho, ek jaise dikhte ho. I mean, this is what it was written in the newspaper. That is how they have addressed these people, that since you all look same, so either go find the person who was involved in the hit and run case, otherwise I'll put you both behind the bar. That is the epitome of the insensitive attitude which the police officials have towards these racial minorities. One of the example, obviously the African national. Is that very clear? So that Tanzanian student was being attacked without any fault of her. She was literally being disrobed of her modesty. She was being abused. And when she approached the police for seeking relief, that is the reaction that she got. And as a result of it, most of the African nations refused, boycotted that summit which was supposed to happen that year. So obviously it has a very strong impact on your bilateral relations. It has a very strong impact on your image on the global platform, that being such a racially diverse country, you are so intolerant towards other racial minorities or other racial groups. Is this very clear? So lack of racial sensitive attitude among the law enforcement officials. And since no strong action is taken against those who are committing this offense, there is lack of deterrence. कोई डर ही नहीं है. So there is lack of deterrence among those who are committing these violent activities against these racial minorities. There is no fear among them because they know that they would not be punished for this. So remember, we did discuss about broken window theory, that if for a petty crime you are not reprimanded at an early phase, then the probability of committing heinous crime at a later stage is very high. This is the same reason. Yes, absolutely. There have been so many incidences that has happened. क्या supporting some party, अंधभक्त not supporting some party, consider. अच्छा, okay. Are Sricharan, we have talked about na bachche zero sum game theory that the we did discuss no that the power. Are एक second. We talked about na that the power in the society is always considered as constant. So it is believed that if someone is gaining power, it will always be at the cost of others. They don't assume that if the country is overall going to progress, overall your growth is going to increase, overall the investment is going to increase, overall the job opportunities will increase. So everyone's share in the pie will increase. But this is not what is being pictured. What is being spread among the people is that, look, the resources of the country are very limited. The power in the country is very limited. So if someone's stature is progressing, automatically it is happening at the cost of you. So that this is the perspective which is being used for pitting one group against the other. So whether it is Hindu versus Muslim, upper caste versus lower caste, the local versus various racial minorities. Did you get the point? So you've been told that, look, you are not able to progress because it is these racial minorities who have taken away your job. It is these racial minorities who have taken away your educational opportunities. So that is why there is a very negative attitude towards the racial minorities. Is that very clear for everyone? Lack of cultural synthesis, Tanvi, we are not aware about each other's culture. We are not aware about each other's culture. हाँ सागरिका कह सकते. Can we proceed? Due to survival technique of invisibility. Due to survival technique of invisibility. Ghettoization, then bracket, due to survival technique of invisibility. Why do people form ghettoization, or why they indulge themselves into ghettoization or form ghettos? Because they want to survive. And they believe if they will come in visibility of the mainstream people or the majority, the section which is dominating, obviously they will be called out names. आप किसी को चिंकी बोल देते हो, किसी को नीग्रो बोल देते हो, without even realizing that these are the racist slurs, and these comments are not supposed to be passed. But despite of these factors, for many years, even the people in Delhi didn't know that chinky is not supposed to be used. That's a slur. It's a racial comment which is not supposed to be used. But thankfully, after coming to Delhi, a lot of people studying in Delhi University, getting the hang of it, they still understand. So the problem here is that we don't know even the difference between right and wrong. So these people, out of the fear, they know that they want to survive. So they are resorting to the technique of invisibility. As a result, they are forming their own ghettos. Is this clear? Anushka, because we believe that the whites were the superior race. They wanted us to believe. We started believing. Why are we so obsessed with Western culture? Why, anyway, it's not about Western culture. Why you treat something as your reference point? Because you consider that to be superior. You consider that to be better than what you are. So you try to imitate them. You try to imbibe that culture in you. And for a very long period of time, through socialization, whether by means of books, whether by family, whether by media, every now and then we have been socialized in a way to believe that white race is the superior race. धूप में मत जाओ, सांवले हो जाओगे. और विटामिन डी चला जाए शरीर से, बाद में वो गोलियां खाते हुए मिलेंगे सबके सब विटामिन डी की. लेकिन धूप में मत जाना, स्पेशली गर्ल्स, धूप में मत जाओ, सांवले हो जाओगे. हु स्टार्ट्स दिस? फैमिली. बच्चा सांवला है, उपटन लगाओ, क्यों? गोरे हो जाओगे, गोरा होना है, क्यों? सांवला रंग पसंद नहीं है. एक तरफ यू आर वर्शिपिंग लॉर्ड कृष्णा, बट देन यू डोंट लाइक द सांवला rang, right? I'm just making a reference. So you've been socialized in the family. Then education books, they are also showing that fair is beautiful, dark is ugly. Again, you are socializing a child like this. You treat dark to be dirty. Not only this, you treat dark complexion with also a particular caste. That is how you treat it. Again, socialization, right? Then media, your anchor, the face of your cinema, the face of your media has to be someone who's fair. Even if you are having a movie, which was that movie, I'm so sorry, I'm just forgetting the name of the movie. Ayushman Khurrana and that girl, it was baldness which was being treated, and the girl, बिल्कुल मेरे दिमाग से, I am so sorry, I'm just forgetting the name of the movie, in which she was being shown as a dark complexion girl, but they did not find any dark complexion women to play that character. They took a fair complexion girl and painted her dark because they believe that would be accepted, right? So the point here is, through various mediums, you have been socialized right from your childhood that fair is beautiful, dark is ugly. तो फिर क्या करें? जो सिखाया गया है वही तो सीखेंगे, ठीक है ना? So that makes a lot of difference. Is that clear? आगे बढ़ सकते हैं ना? Both, Aditya, it is both. It is both. अब वो गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज, हम ये कह सकते हैं लैकडासिकल एटीट्यूड ऑन द premise, on the basis or with respect to the government. Let's put it this way, because when we will see the solution, we will understand that the government has failed to create an infrastructure where the people of racial minorities feel secure. They believe that their well-being would be taken care of. So yes, you can say lack of political will. You can also talk about inefficient government policies to create a secured ecosystem for the racial minorities. So it can be put it this way. So let's put this in the solution aspect, right? In fact, quick judgments ki bajai, there is delay. So that is why one of the suggestion by Base Barua committee, I'll make you write everything. One of the suggestion given by Base Barua committee was establishing fast track courts. So absolutely these points can be written, but we will write it in solution. बाला, हाँ, मुझे लग रहा था यही है मूवी का नाम, but then I got confused. TikTok, आदित्य, TikTok filters आते हैं ना? What are the purpose of those filters? खुद सोचो. Nobody wants to paste their true self on the social media. There are so many filters, and every filter is supposed to make you look one shade brighter. So yeah, that is how it works. हाँ हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वैभव, ये तो कहने का तरीका था. अफ्रीकन नेशनल्स इसलिए बोला था क्योंकि अभी ये कांगोलीज वाला इंसिडेंट अभी लास्ट ईयर ही हुआ था, ठीक है. नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न, ऑब्वियसली वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट देम. अरे अभी तो मूवी पे भी बवाल हो गया ना, गंगूबाई काठियावाड़ी, देयर वाज अ सीन कि पूरा चाइना ही मुंह में डालेगा क्या, बिकॉज दैट डेंटिस्ट बिलोंग टू द नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न कम्युनिटी. सो आई थिंक दैट वाज द थिंग. मैट्रिमोनियल एड्स, या राइट, ठीक है. हाँ, थैंक यू गाइज, आई जस्ट फॉरगॉट द नेम. चाय मत पीना, काले हो जाओगे. ओ काजल, दैट इज अ पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस. आई डोंट नो हाउ डिड आई फॉरगेट दैट. या ठीक है, कैन वी प्रोसीड नाउ? ओके, आई गिव यू 5 minutes. व्हाट आर द implications? 5 minutes, 5 minutes. What are the implications? Bilkul Ashish, yes, yes. It's just that we are talking about this obsession with whiteness is a major issue which has been existing for a very long period of time. That is why we are talking about these issues. Is this clear? what are the implication of racial intolerance? What are the implications? Very quickly. Do not look on the screen. Just think. Snigdha, perfect. Shantanu, perfect. Prashant, perfect. Abhishek, perfect. Underconfident, introvert. Deharmonization, ठीक है. Moral breakdown, diplomatic implication, self-confidence, absolutely correct. Now, combine all these points, Sri Charan, it furthers the feeling of relative deprivation, absolutely correct. Snigdha, ठीक है. कहाँ लिखा है बच्चे? लेफ्ट में, कहां पर? लैक ऑफ, इसी पेज पे बोल रहे हो क्या? I'll repeat it. See, that is why all your points are absolutely correct. And that is why I have always been saying whenever we are discussing the implication, try to divide it into three categories: individual, societal, and nation. So whatever points that you have written, everything would picture in this. For example, if I'm talking about individual level pe, what are the implication? It undermines the confidence. You guys have already talked about it. It gives you limited opportunities for social mobility. There is a sense of alienation, right? Because you're not being able to freely practice the opportunities or avail the opportunities which you otherwise wanted to, right? So there is a sense of alienation. There is limited access to resources. There is feeling of relative deprivation, which might give rise to various acts of deviance or criminal activities. Then it denies these racial minorities the life with dignity. Right? So at individual level, it is undermining the confidence, limited opportunity for social mobility, limited access to resources, whether it is socio-political, economic resources. It further denies the life with dignity because people are mocking you, they are pitying you, they are calling you names, and it also becomes the basis for social exclusion. The treatment which is given to certain races is very different from the treatment being given to other race people. So obviously it denies you the life with dignity. It denies you the equal space in the society. So as a result, there is a very strong fervor of feeling of relative deprivation, which might give rise to the criminal activities or deviant activities. Then with respect to society, if we talk about, so then it results into, or it creates problem with respect to the integration of diverse communities, right? So it threatens the prospect of unity in diversity. यहाँ threaten लिखा है, तो वो word नहीं लिखा है मैंने बस. So it threatens the prospect of unity in diversity. It threatens the process of integration of diverse community. ठीक है? It creates social strife or conflict in the society where one racial group is pitted against another racial group. It negatively impacts social harmony. Somebody said deharmonization. Then it also results, or it challenges the notion of collective orientation. That collective feeling is missing, right? We as a people belonging to one particular nation, we do not have that collective orientation. We are divided on so many parochial lines, one of them being race, right? It further aggravates the possibility of ghettoization, which we have already discussed, which will further threaten the collective orientation or harmony in the society, right? At the national level, it threatens the potential of India to emerge as a business and educational hub. Remember boycotting of African summit by the African nations? Obviously, do you really think that these racial minorities are coming and they are acting as a liability? They are creating so much potential for India. They are paying the fees of the colleges. They are living in your PGs. They are consuming the resources. So the people who are so anti these people, do we realize that so much of money, resources have been generated because of these people? They are creating demand for the products, for your services in your own country. That should be respected rather than being ridiculed. So it creates, challenges the potential of India to emerge as business and educational hub. It negatively impacts the bilateral relations. It negatively impacts the potential to reap the benefits of demographic dividend, because many of the racial minorities do not have access to resources. So then it fails to generate human capital. So it threatens the benefit of demographic dividend. Then obviously one of the manifestation is the cessationist tendencies. When they don't feel they are being respected, when they feel they have been denied resources, so they believe, what is the point staying in your country? It is better that we create our own land. At least we would be living a life with dignity. At least kami resources sahi, but we would be given equal space to access those resources. So it furthers these cessationist tendencies. It threatens the potential of India to emerge as a global power. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Deviant activities में ही violence आ जाएगा. ओवरऑल जब हम बोलते हैं ना सेंस ऑफ एलियनेशन, तो उसमें भी सब कुछ आ जाएगा, मेंटल हेल्थ वगैरह आ जाएगा, फीलिंग ऑफ एंजाइटी, स्ट्रेस, डिप्रेशन. तो सेंस ऑफ एलियनेशन में मेंटल हेल्थ वुड बी एडेड. एक्सेस टू रिसोर्सेज की बात करते हैं तो उसमें सोशो पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमिक सारे रिसोर्सेज आ जाते हैं. नेहा एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट बच्चे. काजल परफेक्ट. किसी ने हेल्थ लिखा था, मैं उसी का जवाब दे रही थी. अबू यस यू कैन से दैट. इनफैक्ट बोथ फिजिकल एंड मेंटल हेल्थ, विच एवर यू वॉन्ट टू राइट. Aditya, perfect. Perfect. Social inclusion, collective orientation. Aditya, collective orientation. That feeling of collective orientation is not there. We are not looking for the overall welfare of the nation at large. Right? We all are divided on those primordial lines, and we are very distinct and diverse. And not only we are just diverse, we believe in that diversity, that our interests cannot be similar. So that collective harmony, that harmonious feeling that we all belong to this one land, India, that feeling is missing. Why feeling is missing? Because always one group is being pitted against the other group. One group gets access to resources at the cost of other group. So how would you feel connected with that group? The other group is always calling you names. The other group is always denying you the opportunity of social inclusion. How would you be positively disposed towards them? So that collective orientation is missing. वैभव, अरे मैं कुछ पढ़ा थोड़ी ना रही हूं, सब कुछ तो स्क्रीन पे है. इन पॉइंट्स में ना कुछ पढ़ाने को नहीं है. ये ऑब्वियस है, सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी पॉइंट्स हैं. ये डायग्राम बन जाए और कोई पॉइंट न समझ आए तो मुझसे पूछ लेना. Just make the diagram. Once you've made the diagram, please let me know. One. And if you've not understood any point, then let me know. Akhilesh, deviant matlab something which is disapproved by the society, right? So let us say that based on your race you were being denied opportunities for employment, ठीक है? But anyhow you have to survive. However, you did not have access to legitimate means of survival. भाई आपको जॉब नहीं दी जा रही थी, आपको एजुकेशन नहीं दी गई, skill development was being denied. So all those aspects which were the legitimate source of employment were being denied to you. How would you ensure your survival? भाई खाने को चाहिए ना, रोटी के लिए पैसा चाहिए. So then you are resorting to illegitimate techniques. For example, theft. For example, extortion. For example, any kind of trafficking, whatsoever it is. So the probability of deviant activity increases. That's one thing. Let us say somebody is continuously calling you out different kind of names. Basically, racial attacks has been made. You tried your level best to control your anger, but at one point of time, you just completely were out of control and you hit the other person. And because of which the other person was severely hurt. Obviously, this act is disapproved by the society. So again, this is a deviant act, right? So this is what deviance means. That because of this act of racial intolerance, because of feeling of relative deprivation, because of being denied the life of dignity and respect, it might encourage deviant fervor among the racial minorities. They might indulge themselves into deviant practices. Deviance means criminal activities. Any act which is disapproved by the society. Huh, Snigdha? Yes, you are being socialized where you are made to feel inferior. So you want to overcome that inferiority, no? Who doesn't want good opportunities in the society? Who doesn't want to be loved, appreciated, adored by everyone? Who doesn't want that? Right? So everybody tries to, या तो वो enlightenment हो जाए that whatever the other person is saying is absolutely wrong. So you stop getting affected by that. But as of now, you are also made to believe that you are inferior. So until and unless you don't know what is real, what is the reality, how would you get out of that trap? So yes, absolutely, Snigdha. Societal second point क्या है बच्चे? It creates social strife. Is this what you are talking about? ये second, third point नहीं लिखा करो, ये लिख दिया करो. अच्छा, goes against the notion of unity in diversity. यार, actually, I was just making it for myself. So goes against the notion of unity in diversity है. ठीक है? ये आदित्य मुझे क्लियर कर दो कौन सा सेकंड पॉइंट बोल रहे हो. मैं कलेक्टिव ओरिएंटेशन फिर से बता देती हूं. सी, do you understand what is the major challenge in context of India in the process of nation building? What is the term nation? It's sense of oneness. That there is an entity to which we all consider as belonging to that. But the problem here is that the concept of nation is a very narrow down concept in context of India. For us, our sense of belongingness is not to India as a country. It is to the region, it is to the religion, it is to the language, it is to the race, it is to the gender. Are you getting my point? It is to the caste to which you belong. So there are too many sub-identities which are created. So one of the factors responsible for creation of those sub-identities is also race. Okay? Race is a factor which divides us in the society. Is that clear? So that feeling of collective orientation is not emerging. The society doesn't treat itself as one whole. Right? We are too divided on these primordial lines. And because of which it is further threatening the notion of unity in diversity. So the problem here is not diversity per se. The problem here is that we are not just diverse, we are divided. We are pitted against each other. We treat our diversity to be mutually hostile. That is the problem. So the problem is not diversity. That is bound to happen in a country like India, right? Did you understand? कह सकते हैं आदित्य. India was too diverse. There were people who were coming, invading us, occupying our land. No, altogether a new culture was getting created. It was being treated very differently. वो जो एक concept of one nation India आया, वो आया ही 15th August 1947. उससे पहले तो हमारी क्या एंटिटी है, हमारी क्या आइडेंटिटी है, हमारा क्या कल्चर है, कुछ डेवलप ही नहीं हुआ. Did you get the point? So that is the reason. Is this very clear? Can we proceed? What should be the way forward? Write down. I'm giving you few general way forwards, and then we will be discussing about the recommendation of Base Barua Committee. Base Barua Committee basically came with respect to the Northeastern students. Okay, so write down. First point. There should be sensitization programs. There should be sensitization programs which focuses on, there should be sensitization programs that should focus on India's obsession with particular race. There should be sensitization programs which should focus on India's obsession with particular race. Second, charismatic personalities should come forward. Charismatic personalities should come forward to lend their voice. Charismatic personalities should come forward to lend their voice to the problem of racial intolerance. To the problem of racial intolerance. There are various celebrities who have stopped endorsing the fairness cream. So that is also in a way a step forward to lend their voice to the cause of or to the problem of racial intolerance. So yes, the charismatic personalities should lend their voice. Most importantly, the police needs to be sensitized. The police needs to be, or forces needs to be sensitized, trained. Not only sensitized, they should be trained with respect to dealing with racial attacks. How to deal with this situation of racial attacks and violence. They should not only be sensitized, they should also be properly trained. Next. Confidence building measures. I'll just repeat. The first point was sensitization program to do away with the obsession regarding particular race. Then charismatic personalities should lend their voice to the problem of racial intolerance. Then the police officials or the forces, they need to be not only sensitized but also trained with respect to these incidences of racial attacks. Then confidence building measures should be carried out. Confidence building measures should be carried out to assure racial minorities. Confidence building measures should be carried out to assure racial minorities regarding their security and well-being. Regarding their security and well-being. Confidence building measures should be carried out and racial minorities should be assured An assurance should be given to racial minorities that they are secured and their well-being would be taken care of. Next, educational institutions. Educational institutions needs to be more accommodative and inclusive. Educational institutions need to be more accommodative and inclusive. In fact, there was a case study done with respect to Delhi University. So it was found that a lot of African students, they found that the teachers, the students, as in their classmates, they were not at all harmonious towards these people. In fact, they were often being reprimanded. They were often being left onto their own to prepare, to study. In fact, there were a handful of people who were inclusive of these or accommodative of these racial minorities. So then the problem also lies with the teachers. The problem also lies with the educational content. All of this, at all level, the change has to be brought about. So it is not just one agency which needs to undergo a change. Do you realize that it is we only who create the legislature? It is we only who creates the judiciary, as in we form a part of judiciary. हमारी society से ही तो उठ के लोग वहां जा रहे हैं ना. So वो जो mindset है वो तो वही रहेगा. It would remain patriarchal, it would remain casteist, it would remain communal, it would remain racist. So that is the problem. That is why effectiveness in the judgments are also missing. The effectiveness in the laws are also missing, because we as a whole, as a society, needs to be made more virtuous. That is why it is often been said that instead of telling, at every point of time, this is right, this is wrong, you should aim to create a society which is virtuous in itself. Then the fight with respect to right and wrong would not exist, because everybody would be acting on the lines of the moral fabric of the society. Is that very clear? So the problem lies at all level of socialization. It needs to be checked. Is that clear? Next point. Holding workshop by the government or civil society. Holding workshop by the government or the civil society. Holding workshop by the government or the civil society to create awareness about the culture, of racial minorities. To create awareness about the culture of racial minorities. Full stop. Clear hai? Now, write down specific recommendation given by Base Barua Committee with respect to Northeastern students. Write down. Stringent laws is the need of the hour. Stringent laws is the need of the hour. Second, establishing fast-track courts. Establishing fast-track courts. Educational intervention. Establishing fast-track courts. Educational intervention. Special police squad. Special police squad. Social media outreach. Social media outreach. I'll repeat. Stringent laws is the need of the hour. Establishing fast-track courts for speedy disposal of cases. Educational intervention. To bring about changes in the attitude of the people towards minority. Educational intervention to bring about changes in the attitude of the people towards racial minorities. Creating special police squad. Creating special police squad. Next, social media outreach. Social media outreach. Legal awareness campaigns. legal awareness campaigns to make minorities realize about their rights and entitlements. So legal awareness campaigns to create awareness among minorities about their rights and entitlements. Bonding power of sports can also be explored. Bonding power over sports can also be explored. These are specific recommendation of Base Barua Committee as far as Northeastern students are concerned or Northeastern people are concerned. Is this very clear for everyone? Write down a question. Write down a question. अभी स्लो नहीं बोला था क्या मैंने? I'll repeat. If you want me to repeat any point, मुझे ये बता दो. कुछ एक पहला वर्ड लिख देना. ये थर्ड, फोर्थ, फिफ्थ मत लिखा करो. मेरे को याद नहीं रहता है. Primary socialization needs to be changed. Absolutely, Weber. Yes. More progressive agencies of socialization needs to emerge. Right? Socialization, yeah, we should put it socialization with respect to race neutral value system. Like gender neutral बोलते ना, वैसे ही race neutral value system needs to be propagated. Right? Or progressive agencies of socialization needs to be encouraged. So whether it is family, whether it is media, whether it is, so racially colored advertisements needs to be checked, right? Or the racial intolerant content on media needs to be checked. So अलग-अलग points लिखने की बजाय, whether it is media, whether it is education, whether it is family, हम in general लिख सकते हैं that the agencies of socialization needs to undergo a change with respect to the values that they are transmitting in their children. Is that clear? The value system needs to be neutral with respect to these primordial identities, whether it is race, whether it is gender, whether it is caste, whether it is religion, etc. ठीक है, तो एक point लिख सकते हैं that different agencies of socialization needs to undergo a change with respect to various agencies of socialization needs to undergo a change, whether those agencies are family, media, school or education, ठीक है, leadership, peer group, workplace, whatsoever it is, etc. So religion kya, how should I put it? Let's not add this. Write down various agencies of socialization, for example, family, media, school, leadership, needs to undergo a change with respect to the values that they are inculcating in their children. With respect to the values they are inculcating in their children. For example, the value system needs to be neutral with respect to primordial identities. such as race, ethnicity, religion, etc. Once you've written this much, let me know. Write down a question. Define the concept of race. Define the concept of race. Define the concept of race. Full stop. Briefly discuss the factors responsible. Briefly discuss the factors responsible for racial intolerance in India. Briefly discuss the factors responsible for racial intolerance in India and suggest some measure to address this problem. Suggest some measures to address this problem. 15 marker. Define the concept of race, full stop. Briefly discuss the factors responsible for racial intolerance in India, full stop. Suggest some measures to address the challenge. 15 marker. See, if the question comes on race, it would be somewhere similar to this. Either the cause or the implication or the way forward, it would be on these lines. Otherwise, there would not be a question. So if the question is there, more or less it would be on this line, or it might have been connected with the issue of diversity in India. बस इतना ही हो सकता है, इसके beyond नहीं पूछेंगे, ऐसा हम assume कर रहे हैं, ठीक है ना? Is this very clear? So the next topic, the last topic as far as diversity is concerned is ethno-nationalism, ठीक है? That is ethnic diversity. Let's very quickly have a look at it. ये डायग्राम बनाओ, मैं सब समझा दूंगी, ठीक है? Do not write what is written here. ये जो श्रीलंका वाला पार्ट है, ये बस मत लिखना, बाकी write everything. Just write it. I'll explain everything. It's a flow chart. मैं एक बार read out कर देती हूं. This is ethno-nationalism. I started with ethnic group. I have defined what is ethnic group. So it is defined as a social group consisting of people who are united by the ties of common culture, language, ancestry, experience, religion, whatsoever it is. ठीक है? People of the group, the people who belong to the ethnic group are self-conscious people. They know that they are similar because they are united by these ties of common culture, experience, heritage, ancestry, etc. So they know that they are similar. At the same time, they know they are different from others. So I have written, people of a group have awareness about how they are similar but distinct from others. मैं पढ़ा नहीं रही हूँ, मैं सिर्फ read out कर रही हूँ जिससे कि you can make the diagram. Then it is written development of ethnic identity, differential access to resources, ethnic stratification, ethnic antagonism, subjective realization of objective reality finally leads to ethno-nationalism. बस ये diagram बना लो, I'll explain everything. Can we proceed if you've written? See, we take ethno-nationalism at the end. There is a reason if you look at the definition of what constitutes ethnic group. So basically, it is consisting of all those people who are united by the ties of common experiences, common culture, ancestry, language, religion, right? So everything that you have studied so far can be the part of ethno-nationalism. For example, you've studied with respect to language, you've studied with respect to region, you've studied with respect to religion, right? All of this will form the part of ethnicity. Because what is ethnic group? It is defined as a social group consisting of the people who are united by the ties of common cultural heritage, common cultural experiences, right? Common language, common religion, common ancestry. So ethnic group is like a set of which language, religion, region forms the subset, to be saying in the simple terms. Is that very clear for everyone? Right? So this is how you define the ethnic group. Now it is being said that not only these people are just forming a group, they are aware about the fact that they are similar among themselves. At the same time, not only they consider, but others also consider them to be culturally distinct. So if the people belong to a particular ethnic group, they know, they are aware of the fact that they are similar among themselves. At the same time, they are distinct from the other groups. Is that clear? Now, when you have this awareness, and this awareness is on the basis of your ethnicity, that we since belong to the same ethnicity, we are similar and we are different from the people of other ethnicity. So based on that, you develop your identity based on ethnicity. So it gives rise to development of ethnic identity. For example, Bodo identity, that is nothing but example of ethnic identity. Similarly, the identity of Tamilians, Sinhalese in context of Sri Lanka, this is nothing but the example of ethnic identity. Is that very clear? So there is development of ethnic identity. Now, not only there is just the development of ethnic identity, based on your identity, you have different access to resources. So based on your ethnic identity, you have different access to socio-political economic resources. Now, when you have different access to resources, definitely there would be a stratification. Remember caste ka lecture? The first thing I told you, caste is a system of social stratification. Then you asked me what is stratification. So I said we are arranged in a hierarchy, that is layers in the society. And based on that layered arrangement, when you have different access to resources, it is referred as stratification. So when you have different access to resources, it results into ethnic stratification. Now, you are stratified not on the basis of your talent. You are stratified not on the basis of your what you can achieve, your education, your economic aspect. No, you are stratified in the society because on the basis of a factor on which you don't have a control. So you are stratified on the basis of these primordial identities. So whether it is religion, whether it is language, whether it is culture. So the point here is that when there exists ethnic stratification based on the factors on which you don't have a control, it results into feeling of ethnic antagonism. Antagonism matlab obviously one ethnic group is placed better as compared to others. So there is a feeling of hostility among those ethnic groups. So that is nothing but ethnic antagonism. And it might be existing for a very long period of time. However, when there would be third party intervention, whether a charismatic leader, whether a political party or a pressure group or a civil society, whatsoever it is, when there is third party intervention which will make you realize that, look, you have been discriminated. So that would give rise to subjective realization of objective reality, and it will result into your nationalism on the basis of your ethnicity, which is known as ethno-nationalism. Is this very clear for everyone? I'll give you an example to explain it better, but till here, has everybody understood whatever we have discussed so far? Can I proceed? See, why did I ask you not to write this Sri Lanka wala example? Because I wanted to explain here. See, in context of Sri Lanka, we already know that there exist two ethnic groups. One is Sinhalese and the other is Tamilians. Now, the Tamil population was taken by the Britishers, okay, during when they were ruling us, to basically work on the plantation in Sri Lanka. So these Tamilians have labored for the prosperity of Sri Lanka for more than 100 years, right? However, when Sri Lanka got independence, the first thing that the Sri Lankan government did was they passed Ceylon Citizenship Act. And according to this act, the Tamilians were divested. They were deprived of their citizenship rights in Sri Lanka. Right. So just try to understand and try to fit this flowchart in this example. Now, in context of Sri Lanka, there were two ethnic groups, right? One was Tamilians, other was Sinhalese. Since they were similar among themselves and they knew they are different from each other, there was a development of ethnic identity. The identity was one set of people were Tamilians, the other set of people were Sinhalese. Now, based on that ethnic identity, there was differential access to resources. How there was differential access to resources? First thing, Ceylon Citizenship Act was passed. Now, with this act, the Tamilians were deprived of their citizenship right. Yani, based on your ethnicity, there was differential access to resources. The second thing was they declared Sinhala to be the official language. Now you very clearly know that if some language is declared to be the official language, it is detrimental not only for your culture but also for your livelihood opportunities. And Sinhala was declared as the sole official language of Sri Lanka. Again, based on your ethnic identity, you were being denied the resources. Not only that, Buddhism was declared as the state religion, and it is the religion which is practiced by Sinhalese. Again, the culture of Tamils were getting dominated or getting marginalized. So yes, there was differential access to resources based on your ethnicity. It resulted into ethnic stratification where Sinhalese were better placed as compared to the Tamilians. So obviously there was a feeling of antagonism between Sinhalese and Tamilians. As a result, they were supposed to retaliate, and when that retaliation happened, when there was a third party intervention which made Tamilians realize that, look, you have been discriminated on the land for whose prosperity you have labored for more than 100 years. That was the emergence of LITTE, that is Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, which emerged in 1976, which resulted into subjective realization, which resulted into Tamilians becoming politically conscious group who were supposed to fight for their rights, which gave rise to ethno-nationalism. That is, their feeling of nationalism was determined on the basis of their ethnic identity. Is this very clear for everyone? Similarly, this diagram can be incorporated anywhere and everywhere. Let's take example in context of Assam. There was a book which is written, ek apne reference ke liye likho. There was a book, Sanjeev Barua, India Against Itself, Assam and Politics of Nationality. Write down, Sanjeev Barua. He wrote a book, India Against Itself, Assam, Assam and Politics of Nationality. Sanjeev Barua. He highlighted the factors which are responsible or which were responsible for ethno-nationalism vis-a-vis the Bodo people, as in the development of Bodo identity, the Bodo identity and the demand for Bodo land. That is nothing but the manifestation of ethno-nationalism. Is this very clear? So write down. According to Sanjeev Barua, in his book, India Against Itself, Assam and Politics of Nationality, according to Sanjeev Barua, India Against Itself, Assam and Politics of Nationality, he identified 3 factors responsible for emergence of Bodo identity, and demand for Bodo land, First, dominance of Bengali people in the government jobs. Illegal migration. Second point, पहला है dominance of Bengali speakers in the government jobs. Second, illegal migrants from Bangladesh, which resulted in the displacement of traditional, I'll repeat, illegal migration from Bangladesh, which resulted in the displacement of traditional workers in agriculture. Third, outnumbering of native tribes, in electoral roles, due to influx of Bengalis, Now, again go through this diagram and tell me if there is anything that you have not understood. Can we proceed? Let me see if I have a question. हाँ ना तो बोला करो, पता कैसे चलेगा? Write down a question. Linguistic, regional, rather than religious identities, regional, rather than religious identities, have been the basis of ethno-nationalism in India. I'll repeat. Linguistic, regional, rather than the religious identities have been the basis of ethno-nationalism in India? Discuss. 10 marker. ठीक है? Can we proceed now? ये last वाला question, I think I've answered it many times. You just have to say, you have to talk about, that is why I said I'll take this topic in the end. Because इसी में वो religion, language, region, everything comes as a part of ethno-nationalism if you see the definition of the ethnic group. Right? So if I have to identify what are the different bases of stratification, I'm generally saying, अगर कभी confusion हो, and we have to talk about the different bases of stratification in India, it can be ethnicity, it can be gender, and it will be race. They are different concepts because within ethnicity, you can talk about religion, you can talk about language, you can talk about region. Is this clear? So अगर different aspect of stratification की बात करेंगे तो ethnicity, gender and race, they are three different distinct concepts. Within ethnicity, you can talk about religion as a basis of identity, language as a basis of identity, region as a basis of identity. Is this very clear for everyone? ठीक है? So on this note, this diversity aspect comes to an end. We will start with the last topic, that is unity in diversity. इसी पे लिख देती हूँ. This would be the last topic as far as diversity is concerned. That is unity in diversity. What was Vaibhav Sinhala was declared as the official language. Remember we discussed official language mein that if some language is declared as the official language, then it also becomes the medium of instruction in educational universities and schools. Then the language also becomes the medium of government examination, right? So if language is declared to be official language, it would give advantage to the speakers of that language with respect to cultural domination also, as well as livelihood opportunities also. That is why the Tamilians were feeling so disenchanted कि यार हमने भी तो काम किया था ना, हमने भी तो इतनी मेहनत करी थी ना श्रीलंका के प्लांटेशंस पर, right? And ऐसा तो था नहीं कि this was always a part of us. We were brought about by the Britishers, but we considered this land to be ours and we have worked for its prosperity. But आपने क्या किया हमारे साथ? You declared one particular language as the official language, right? There were two major ethnic groups. You could have declared both the languages, but you didn't do that. You declared Sinhala to be the official language. You are giving the advantage to the Sinhalese with respect to cultural domination as well as livelihood opportunity. So these people started feeling disenchanted. ठीक है ना. Snigdha, I am not saying बच्चे that ethno-nationalism on the basis of religion was not there. Read the question. It is saying that it was linguistic, regional rather than religion. So religion से related hardly there is one example. Right? और ज्यादा से ज्यादा if you want to add, you can talk about even Azad Kashmir also. ठीक है. But the thing is, you'll a handful of examples would be found in context of religion. That is one Punjab and second is Kashmir. Whereas if I talk about language, if we talk about region, there are innumerable examples for the demand of ethno-nationalism. That is the demand of the question. कि religion से related उतनी demands नहीं थी. फिर आप उसको एक लाइन में बता दोगे क्योंकि कोई भी demand जो religion से related होती, we would not have accepted that. इसलिए ठीक है स्निग्धा. Can we proceed? लिखो. Write down. क्या क्वेश्चन है एक मिनट मुझे फिर से रीड करने दो. Linguistic, regional rather than religious identities have been the basis of ethno-nationalism in India. Discuss. हाँ बच्चे, you'll start with the definition of ethno-nationalism. What is nationalism? It's a feeling of oneness. When this feeling is born out of common ethnic identity, then it is known as ethno-nationalism. Right? So you will start with the definition of ethno-nationalism. Then you will be by means of examples you would be talking about, right? So first you will discuss the religious factor which was responsible for ethno-nationalism. You will give the example of Khalistan. Okay. However, then you will add a connecting statement where you will say that since any demand which is based on religion is communal in nature and threatens the secular fabric of India, so largely the demands based on religion was not accepted. So even if the demands were religious, it was presented in the garb of other factors, for example, language, underdevelopment, etc. Hence, it is largely the linguistic identities and the regional identities which have formed the basis of ethno-nationalism. Then language se related you will give example, region se related you will give example, and you will conclude. Is that very clear? That not every demand of ethno-nationalism threatens the integral aspect of the nation, right? It is only when it resorts to violent means that it threatens the integrative aspect of India. और इस तरह से करके आप end कर सकते हो. Is that clear? The only thing that you have to keep in mind is you have to start with the definition of ethno-nationalism. First, you will discuss about religious aspect since it is not the main content of your answer. And then you are going to highlight the linguistic demands which have been in context of India, whether it was linguistic reorganization of state, whether it was Gorkha land. So all of that can be written. And then you will talk about the regional aspect. Is that very clear? ठीक है? चलो. Great. Unity in diversity. Concept of unity. What I have written, I'll just read it out. It refers to the sense of oneness. Second, it refers to the bond, this unity. It refers to the bond which holds the members of the society together. It can either be on the basis of uniformity or on the basis of differences. That is, we can be termed as united because we are similar, we are uniform, right? However, that does not mean that if we are different, then there cannot be unity. So unity is that bond which holds us together. And this unity can also be on the basis of differences. Is that very clear? नहीं, I don't know, but मैं चाय नहीं पी रही हूँ, गर्म पानी पी रही हूँ, क्योंकि गला बैठ जाएगा मेरा और अब मेरे को छुट्टी नहीं मिलेगी. तुम लोग का कोर्स बहुत पीछे है, so I am depending on warm water. Let's start with this. Bonds of unity in India. The geographical factor. Geocultural unity and geopolitical unity. Regional factor. Cultural factor. Socio-cultural to be very precise. ठीक है? Let's start. वो मैं यहां पे वापस लिख दूंगी तो आपको geographical factor, and within geographical factor the first is geopolitical. So write down the first bond of unity in India, the first bond of unity in India. I am just giving you certain academic examples, right? You will be writing miscellaneous examples from your everyday life as far as unity and diversity is concerned. Why am I giving you these set of academic examples? Just to tell you that in case the question comes, then how the answer has to be written. Let me just finish it off. You will get an understanding what I was trying to deliver. Okay? Right now, geographical factor, the first is geopolitical. The first bond of unity is found in geopolitical integration. The first bond of unity in India is found in geopolitical integration. Full stop. The first bond of unity is found in India in its geopolitical integration. Full stop. India is geographically united. India is geographically united, marked by Himalayas in the north. India stands geographically united, marked by Himalayas in the north and oceans on the side. Oceans on the side. So India stands geographically united with Himalayas in the north and oceans on the side. Amidst this geographical unity, we stand politically united. Amidst this geographical unity, we stand politically united as we share common political culture, same constitution common political culture, same constitution, single citizenship, etc. Okay. So amidst this geographical unity, we all stand politically united because we share common political culture, single constitution, single citizenship, etc. So that is amidst aspect, right? So this is geopolitical unity. Another aspect is geocultural unity. Geocultural unity. Geocultural unity. हरिद्वार से रामेश्वरम तक, द्वारका से पुरी तक. Write down. Temple culture plays a significant part. Temple culture plays a significant part in promoting. Temple culture plays a significant part in promoting cultural affinity and interaction among people. Temple culture plays a significant part in promoting cultural affinity and interaction among people. Living in different parts of India. Living in different parts of India. Living in different parts of India. Temple culture, I'll repeat, plays a significant role in promoting cultural affinity and interaction among people living in different parts of India. Hence, it is the source of unity. Hence, it is the source of unity which is reflected. Hence, it is the source of unity which is reflected in the network of. Hence, it is the source of unity which is reflected in the network of shrines and sacred places. In the network of shrines and sacred places. Next is regional. Regional bond of unity. Make this, read this and tell me if you've not understood. नहीं अनुष्का, नहीं बच्चे, आई थिंक यू गॉट कंफ्यूज विथ nationalism. बच्चे, नेशन मीन्स सेंस ऑफ वननेस. यू आर बिलोंग, दैट्स फीलिंग ऑफ वननेस, दैट आई बिलोंग टू दिस नेशन, right? That nation not necessarily be the country. Your feeling of oneness, the feeling of association, ठीक है, it can be on the basis of other identities. For example, your religion, for example, your culture, for example, your ethnicity, right? So having ethno-nationalism does not mean that you are demanding every time a separate nation. You can also demand a more autonomous separate state within your country. ठीक है ना? State is a political concept. Nation is a social concept. That feeling of belongingness to that entity. We don't feel we belong to a country. Rather, we feel that we belong to a particular state. So for us, our feeling of nation is oriented towards the state, right? Are Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. किसका क्वेश्चन था? अनुष्का, did you understand? शांतनु, एक सेकंड होल्ड. बच्चे, बेस्ड ऑन डिफरेंस मतलब विद इन दिस डाइवर्सिटी देर इज सम बॉन्ड ऑफ यूनिटी, राइट? वी आर कास्ट वाइज डिफरेंट. Irrespective of that, we are united. Why? Because we belong to a particular region and we are speaking one common language. Shantanu, have I answered this? Okay. How it can be different? I'll tell you one more example. अच्छा शांतनु, ये लिखो, फिर हम बात करते हैं. I'll give you more examples. हमें यूनाइटेड रहना है. इट्स यूनिटी within diversity. So that is the concept. What is diversity? Collective differences, right? So unity can also on the basis of differences. Within diversity also there can be unity. So unity does not mean we have to be same. Agar India has to stand united, that doesn't mean we all need to be Hindu. Unity can be ensured amidst diversity also. Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Jain, Christians, together also we can be united. So if we want to see India stand united, that doesn't mean that we have to be similar. We have to be uniform. There is always the scope of diversity to coexist with unity. That is the concept of unity in diversity. Is that clear? Okay, so everyone has understood this diagram. Everyone has understood common caste traits. कुछ भी लिख सकते हो बच्चे. दिव्यांश, you could have written common caste identity, common caste trait, common caste community, कुछ भी word. Right? So, okay. Done. I am assuming you have understood the diagram. You have made the diagram. Is everything clear? I hope I don't need to. तभी मैंने लिख दिया था. Amidst the caste diversity, there exists a vertical thread of unity based on common language. Amidst the regional diversity, because I've already told you region are homogeneous area which is culturally, physically distinct from the neighboring areas. So if you have two regions, that means they are different. So amidst this regional diversity, there exists a horizontal thread. No matter how different we are, but since we both belong to the same caste, we will have some common caste traits. Is it clear? Next, cultural. These are academic examples. आपके पास अभी और भी बहुत सारे miscellaneous examples होंगे. We'll discuss. Is it visible? ठीक है. Again, the same exercise. Make the diagram, read the diagram, and if you don't understand something, ask me. Through visiting religious shrines. Muskan, through visiting religious shrines. बोलते नहीं है मंदिर जाओगे तो मोक्ष मिलेगा, मस्जिद जाओगे जन्नत प्राप्त होगी, चर्च जाओगे salvation. So earning religious merit through visiting religious shrines. यही स्निग्धा, this is what I meant. मंदिर में जाना है भाई, दर्शन करने भगवान के, तब जाके मोक्ष प्राप्ति होगी. You have to go to church to seek salvation. You have to go to masjid to attain jannat. ठीक है? So basically what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of significance which is being given to visit these religious shrines so as to earn some religious merit. वो concept तो है ही नहीं ना हमारे यहाँ कि भगवान मन में बसते हैं. तो the point here is भगवान को मंदिर, मस्जिद, चर्च जाके बताना पड़ता है that look, we worship you. Is that clear? So that is the perspective which is existing in our society. हाँ, बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल. Absolutely, Weber. There are too many things that you can write. Just give me 2 minutes. The only reason, acha, theek hai. Let me ask the question to everyone out there. Did you understand why I gave you these examples? मेरा मतलब को कहते नहीं है ना कि it would be funny that if you will not answer it saying that you exactly understood what my intent was. Did you understand why am I making you write? Is it just for the example which I'm making you write? बड़ा मतलब बेइज्जती हो जाएगी अगर तुमने ये जवाब नहीं दिया कि मैंने ये क्यों बताया. So the point here is कि the purpose was not to give you these examples. No, that's not the agenda. I made you write these examples. Hut, Snigdha, because they are good. नहीं नहीं रहने दे आप, प्लीज डोंट राइट एनीथिंग एल्स, ठीक है? आगे कुछ मत लिखना, मैं समझ गई हूं कि मुझे बताना पड़ेगा मैंने ये क्यों एग्जांपल दिया। मैंने ये एग्जाम्पल इसलिए दिया कि इन केस द क्वेश्चन कम्स, राइट, सो जस्ट बाय राइटिंग इंटर रिलीजियस एस्पेक्ट या कॉमन एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ इंपीरियलिज्म जैसे वैभव ने लिखा, ठीक है, तो यहां हमें बताना पड़ेगा व्हाट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स डाइवर्सिटी एंड व्हाट इज द थ्रेड ऑफ यूनिटी, देन द एग्जाम्पल वुड बी कंसिडर्ड एज कंप्लीट एग्जाम्पल। क्योंकि यहां पे द टॉपिक इज नॉट यूनिटी और डाइवर्सिटी, द टॉपिक इज यूनिटी इन डाइवर्सिटी। सो इन every example that you discuss, you have to talk about what is that diversity that you are talking about, and within that diversity, what is that thread of unity that you are talking about, right? So I have to tell that we are so diverse, ठीक है, but still we stand geographically united. Why? Because whichever part of India you are residing, on your north you have Himalayas, you can't deny the fact, right? अब वो specific state मत ले लेना जो landlocked है, overall the north of India is habitated by Himalayas, and on the sides we have oceans. So this factor geographically unites us, right? So what is that diversity and what constitute that thread of unity has to be written. Only then the example would be considered as complete. For example, when we talk about, let us say, our common cultural experiences, one of the experience can be imperialism or British rule. Okay, so that is what he meant. Another set of example, let us say if I ask you what is the example of unity in diversity, and you say sports. Did you get my point? You say corporate culture. Did you get my point? Right? You say transport and communication. So your example, all India services, your examples are absolutely correct. But if in the question it says that what do you mean by unity in diversity, elucidate from your socio-cultural experiences. ठीक है? So when it says elucidate, you have to explain in every example what constitutes diversity and what is that thread of unity. Just by writing the examples would not serve the purpose. That was the purpose of basically writing this. Is that very clear? बिल्कुल, अब exactly that is what I meant. Absolutely, that whenever you are writing, explain that what you are talking about. ठीक है? Is this clear? Everybody understood? Yes, Vaibhav, you can write. Can we proceed? Similarly, you can talk about language. Now, we can give one example like this also. Amidst the linguistic diversity, Hindi and English are acting as a unifying thread. Or there can be another example, just to give you an idea on what lines you can think of the examples. You have epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata. They have been retold in different languages. I'm just telling you how to write examples. So if this epic has been told in different languages, this is constituting diversity. But no matter whichever language they have been retold it in, it has a touch of divinity and is considered sacred by a common man. This is the bond of unity. No matter which language these epic have been retold in, they would be having that touch of divinity for every common man who believes. तो रामायण किसी भी भाषा में बोली गई हो, तो बिकॉज इट इज बीइंग टोल्ड इन डिफरेंट लैंग्वेजेस, देयर एग्जिस्ट डाइवर्सिटी, right? But Lord Ram would be treated as a god, worship as a god. It will be considered sacred no matter which language do we speak. So that element of divinity, considering that to be sacred, is a common factor amidst the diversity with respect to the different languages in which those epics have been written. Is that very clear for everyone? Now you can think of any miscellaneous example that you want. Whether it is cinema, whether it is all India services, whether it is transport and communication, whether it is urbanization, whether it is corporate culture, sports, anything that you want to write. You have miscellaneous examples at your disposal. Is that very clear for everyone? Social media. जितना लिखना चाहो लिखो. Unity in diversity. Right? हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली. Okay, I'm just asking. ठीक है. Try to answer this. Just thinking. What is diversity in unity? Think about it. What is diversity in unity? Just asking. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. Absolutely, Aditya. Absolutely. If I have to give a diagrammatic representation, can I say this is unity in diversity and this is diversity in unity? Do you get my point? Okay. Think about it. कैसे पढ़ सकते हैं? At the time of independence, we were too diverse. So everybody believed that establishing India as a united nation amidst this diversity would be a challenge. India would not be able to sustain itself because we are too diverse, whether it is religious diversity, linguistic diversity, cultural diversity, ethnic diversity, and bringing everyone together and creating that one nation would be a challenge. So that time the ideology which was put forward was unity in diversity, that no matter how diverse we are, within that diversity we can stand united. Okay. Now, the current situation. We are united. Obviously, we belong to India, right? We are united by certain common aspects. Okay? We have a single constitution. We have single citizenship. We have a common political culture. Geographically also, our boundaries are defined. So we are standing united. But within that united stand, we have to respect the diversity. So if there can be unity in diversity, the diversity can also exist within united India. That is what the perspective I am talking about. That if we are united, we have established ourselves, and there's no doubt about it. India is one of the contender to emerge as a global power. So we stand united. It's been 75 years after independence and we are still holding our grounds. So we are standing united as a nation. But within that united nations, we have to accommodate diversity. We have to respect diversity. To continue with our unity, we don't need to be uniform. So whether that diversity exists with respect to our religion, whether it exists with respect to our language, whether it exists with respect to our ethnicity, everything has to be accommodated within United India. That's just one perspective. Example आप कुछ भी डाल सकते हो. Example आप कुछ भी डाल सकते हो. Is that very clear? मैं तो सिर्फ आपको एक perspective दे रही थी कि at the time of independence, why there was a concept of unity in diversity and why today it is more relevant to talk about diversity in unity. Is that clear? ठीक है. For example, कुछ भी example डाल सकते हो. हमने patriarchy की बात करी. Patriarchy is one ideology which unites us. Why? Because pan-Indian basis there is existing patriarchy. However, Brahmanical patriarchy is different from Dalit patriarchy, is different from tribal patriarchy. So within one setup, there exists diversity. There is sports which unites us. Okay, but within that, the reason why you have that love for the sport can be very different. You like that particular sport, let us say cricket. We are united by cricket. There can be different reasons to like cricket. Maybe you yourself are a player. Maybe you are in love with a player. Maybe cricket is a source of your income, IPL, betting. Maybe it is a source of your regionalism, again IPL, Mumbai Indians, Kolkata Knight Riders. So did you get the point? So within that united setup of cricket as a common sport which is uniting us together, there can be different reasons why you are liking that sport. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Okay. The same examples can be written here. It is just the manner in which you are presenting the example will undergo a change. Is that very clear for everyone? Clear hai? ठीक है. Can we proceed now? Write down a question. What do you mean by unity in diversity? Absolutely. You can write any example for that matter. कहने का तात्पर्य है कि whenever you are writing examples, depending upon the nature of the question, specify what is diversity, what is unity. That's it. Nothing else is required. What do you mean by unity in diversity? What do you mean by unity in diversity? Full stop. Elucidate by means of examples from your socio-cultural life. Elucidate by means of examples from socio-cultural life. नहीं वैभव, नहीं बच्चे, वो डायग्राम हटा दिया क्या मैंने आपको बोला था ना कि रेस, जेंडर, एथनिसिटी ये 3 डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट हैं. So racial intolerance is a different manifestation. वो एक डायग्राम नहीं बनाया था मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले? आई टोल्ड यू देयर आर 3 मैनिफेस्टेशंस ऑफ स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन, ऐसे करके. आई सेड दिस इज एथनिसिटी, दिस इज रेस, दिस इज जेंडर. विद इन एथनिसिटी इट कैन बी रिलीजन, इट कैन बी लैंग्वेज, इट कैन बी रीजन. So, racial intolerance cannot be a manifestation of ethno-nationalism. No, it cannot be. यही तो 3 bases of stratification है जो separately exist करते हैं. Race is altogether based only on physical traits. It has nothing to do with your ancestry. It has nothing to do. हो सकता है you belong to a common race because you have a common descent. वो एक अलग बात हो सकती है. But race as a concept is based on your physical traits, right? That's a biological concept. As in, you are similar. Right? Because you are born into a particular community having similar physical traits, right? So that would not be a manifestation. हम ऐसे अगर आप लिंकेज ही ड्रॉ करना चाहोगे और आप बोल दोगे कि a particular racial group is sharing a common ancestry so they can fall into that category, तो इस तरह से we do not generalize. तो हम नहीं कहेंगे. नहीं बच्चे, there are 3 different concepts. Is that clear? Is it making sense? So we will not say. ठीक है? अब टाइम तो वी जस्ट हैव 10 मिनट्स, तो एक डायग्राम बना लो सेक्युलरिज्म का. आई विल कंटिन्यू टुमारो. हाउ मेनी क्लासेस आर लेफ्ट? आज कौन सा नंबर है क्लास का? आई विल टेक 1 लेक्चर सेक्युलरिज्म, population associated issues. I need 2 lectures. I'm like 4 lectures. 4 lectures. More or less 4 lectures में we'll finish. Yes, 4 lectures में we'll finish. After today, I need 4 more lectures. Tomorrow, I'll be discussing secularism with you. We'll finish the topic. Next class, we'll discuss population and associated issues. And that will not take much time because we will be studying through my handwritten notes. ठीक है? तो हम ऐसे भी पढ़ सकते हैं. We can combine. तो उसमें we have to discuss vulnerable sections as well, population policy as well. So I think 2 lectures would suffice as far as population is concerned. And 1 lecture I'll take urbanization and globalization. There is, it is Santhara. Yes, Santhara. मैंने ठीक से नहीं लिखा ना, एक सेकेंड. ठीक है. So one lecture, urbanization and globalization. There is one topic which I'm not taking in society, that is poverty, because poverty I will take when I'm taking social justice with you, क्योंकि poverty and hunger is also a topic in your GS paper too, so I'll club it there. ठीक है. So we will continue with this diagram tomorrow. Concept of secularism, models of secularism, US, France and India. Okay, just one thing you need to tell me before we have a lecture tomorrow. I need to see how I need to structure the lecture. Have you studied doctrine of essential religious practice in detail? Have you studied the debate with respect to Uniform Civil Code, the positive and the negative? We'll discuss everything tomorrow, Shubham. My question to you is, have you studied doctrine of essential religious practice in detail? As in, what is that practice all about? ठीक है? How it has emerged? You haven't. ठीक है? So we'll discuss tomorrow then. So फिर hijab controversy भी उसी में ले लेंगे. We'll discuss that tomorrow. ठीक है, चलो ठीक है. डिटेल से मेरा मतलब है कि पता होना चाहिए फ्रॉम वेयर इट हैज इमर्ज्ड, राइट. सो शिरूर मठ केस वगैरह, देन डिफरेंट मैनिफेस्टेशंस, डिफरेंट जुडिशरी प्रोनाउंसमेंट्स इन विच एसेंशियल रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस इशू वाज रेज्ड, वेदर इट वाज आनंद मार्गी, दैट तांडव इशू वाज देयर, और चर्च ऑफ गॉड केस वाज देयर, ठीक है, और इट वाज सबरीमाला, संथारा, ऑल ऑफ दैट. ठीक है, तो आई विल टेक इट टुमारो. अरे इतना ये हिजाब कंट्रोवर्सी को कंट्रोवर्सी ही समझ के Weber, the reason is why I have to teach few topics from the handouts. उसका reason बता देती हूँ पहले ही. Otherwise, I would be requiring at least 3 to 4 lectures, क्योंकि मेरे को आपको vulnerable sections पढ़ाने हैं, right? तो उसमें child issue है. Within child issue, I have juvenile delinquency, I have child abuse, I have child labor, I have child marriage. Are you getting the point? ठीक है? And then I have to teach you old age issue. Then I have to teach you person with disability. Then I have to discuss transgender. So do you realize that अगर हमने इसका सहारा नहीं लिया तो सिलेबस कंप्लीट नहीं होगा और 2 लेक्चर लग जाएंगे. इसीलिए उसका सहारा लेना पड़ता है. ठीक है ना. हाँ, इसीलिए हम हिजाब कंट्रोवर्सी को ना फ्रॉम एकेडमिक डोमेन लेंगे. इस उम्मीद से नहीं आना कि यहाँ पे ये चर्चा चलेगी कि मतलब हिजाब को लेकर क्या, कुछ नहीं ऐसा होगा. ठीक है. वी विल जस्ट टॉक अबाउट व्हाट इज एसेंशियल रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस, व्हाट वर द इनिशियल जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट्स, व्हाट इज द करंट स्टेटस एंड व्हाट कैन बी द पॉसिबल आउटकम. दैट्स इट. अगर यहाँ पे कोई चर्चा परिचर्चा की एक्सपेक्टेशन है तो उससे मत आना. मैं ऑलरेडी बहुत भुगत चुकी हूं. Nothing against the government, nothing against any particular ideology. Is that very clear? So on this note, we conclude the lecture. ठीक है, चलो, I'll see you tomorrow. ठीक है, bye people, good night, take care of yourself and we'll meet tomorrow. चलो, bye.